And in the upper right, in the blue, he is representing Team Liquid here in this upper bracket semifinals. It's Clem. Bottom left in the red, 15 hatch, 15 pool. The build that he used to kill Maru in Masters Coliseum at ESL Masters. It's Serral. And I honestly could not be more excited about the fact that we're getting Raduset for map 1, or just Raduset in general, because Raduset, I don't know. I got nothing. Whatever it is. Raduset is this incredible map that had everyone vetoing it for a while, but I think it may still be heavily vetoed because it is such a wild map. But if we get it, and especially in TvZ if we get it, it is just about the best thing. So what makes Raduset special is you get 3 bases for just about free. You know, you got to mine this out, and it's a little bit more efficient for the Terran than it is the Zerg player. And okay, fine. This 4th base is wide the hell open. Very hard to hold on to. I thought I'd remove the bracket commands. Weird. Nate Diggity, there are no bracket commands set up because this is these games have already happened. But anyways, so you get a 4th base, very hard to take. 5th base, I mean, good luck. The extra bases are very hard to take. The entirety of the map is middle wide open. So it encourages you to get into game state that is very hard for everyone to play. That leads to just truly fantastic games as Clem's trying to be sneaky here, putting his barracks off to the left side, and more importantly, taking the 3rd base as is natural on this idea that Serral's not going to scout it, but Serral puts his Overlord right where he needs to be. Now knows, okay, this is not 3cc play. This is barracks I mean, he's going to be something, but it is not really, really quick 3rd base. And if it is, it's super suboptimal. So Clem, he's going to get the 3rd base down. Serral's going to get the scout off, and realistically, that's all that Serral has to know. That, for the most part, that's pretty much everything that Serral has to be aware of, because I mean, what else are you going to do, right? It's barracks goes down. Clem's going to build a factory behind this, probably get some Hellions. Serral is well aware of what's happening here, so he's going to be able to take his 3rd base safely. You do have to be careful when we talk about taking bases, by the way. So the Terran player, this is very safe to take the 3rd. For the Zerg player, though, it's a little bit rougher, right? You have these rocks right here. There's minerals, and then there's rocks behind which take a while to chew through. So it's very droppable by the Terran. There are, if you take these rocks down, you can siege things up. It's really hard to control the Xel'Naga. Which gives Terran a lot of priority, a lot of map priority on the bottom side of the map. And Clem, you know what? I understand. Clem doesn't even bother to take the 3rd base. That's wild. He put it off to the side to try to fool Serral, and then didn't go through with it anyways. Now, this makes a little sense from an efficiency perspective if you think about it, because it means the SCVs have to travel slightly less distance to start mining, which is more efficient, which does gain you a little bit money over time. So that's going to be fine. Clem, he does lose some efficiency because he had to lift up and from the 3rd base and go over to the natural, which is suboptimal, but it's going to be fine. It's going to be okay. Let's Clem behind this. This is Hellions, certainly, but no Banshees, which is, again, interesting because Clem is Mr. Hellion Banshee if he does open something like this, but instead it's 1-1-1. Hellion Liberator. Roaches on the way out from Serral, of course, to give him that nice, strong defensive line, especially when the Terran realistically only has 1 attack pattern, and more importantly than that is the Queens are here already shelling away. Yeah, 1 moves away a little bit, but it's fine for the most part. Nice. Serral tries to juggle his shots, gets into the gas, but it's going to be okay. Because Serral really only has 1 attack path that he has to worry about as the Liberator will fall. Only has 1 attack path that he has to worry about. Going roaches has been pretty standard anyways since the Baneling nerf, but on this map in particular, with the expand pattern that Serral's gone for, going roaches, the downside of going roaches, which is this inability to go defend against a whole host of multi-drops and things like that. Well, Serral only has one position really to defend. It's a lot easier to defend with roaches. By the way, how did a ground animal get up on this mesa? You know, this is very separate from the world, and yet we have Clearly, this is not an avian beast. This is clearly like a, wolf-like something. But, oh, okay. Yeah, this is another thing that we've seen a couple Zergs do. I think Serral pretty much more than anyone else. But opening roaches defensively. Because, honestly, Ling Bane defensively is not as strong as it once was. It has been nerfed. But then realizing that, hey, Riderset is an incredible Muta map. And more importantly, I've shown roaches Clem's not going to be expecting Muta Ling Bane. So, Bailey Nest on the way, Spire on the way here, and Mutas are going to be a hard thing for Clem to deal with. On Red, who said, just, you have the wall. Mutas can dive in everywhere here. They can dive in on the north side. They can bounce in this dead airspace here and hang out for a little bit. They can bounce around. There is so much space that Mutas can abuse that it is going to be a difficult thing for Clem to deal with and make sure he doesn't take too much damage. Now, of course, the best defense is a good offense, and now Indy noticing that as well. So there's going to be a drop on the right side here. 14 Marines, 2 medevacs, dropping, removing the scan, which actually is a pretty cool thing. We saw Serral, I didn't put it at the time, but explicitly making sure that he was able to go and put a creep tumor. He actually mined out a mineral patch right here. Mined out that mineral patch so the creep can go on the far side. And now there's no living tumor. There's no living tumor. There's no active tumor that can continue to propagate. So that slows things down a little bit. It's not great for Serral, but it's going to be okay for the most part. As Hellions try to dive in, but link speed's done now, and Queens are here, and Roaches are here, and everything is here. So that's not going to work out particularly well. And 10 Mutas, they're done. Steamrolling, steaming onto the other side of the map. And for the moment, Clem has no idea. He has not seen any of this. He's clearing creep away at the gold, which is a really important thing to do. But there are no missile turrets in the natural here. Bio's going to stim on over, but already SCVs fall. Already mining time is lost. And there's yet more damage possible. Yet more damage possible. 5 SCVs are going to go down, and we're going to have to see if there's anything more than that. Death Reef, thank you so much for the Prime Gaming sub. I appreciate you. Thank you so much. But anyway, Hellions now. They're thinking about diving into the third base, but Lings at home, Mutas at home mean absolutely not. You're not allowed to make that happen. That engagement doesn't work. And now Clem is, well, Serral's showing us the power of this map. Clem is pinned back at home in a tremendous way. 10 Mutas mean that he can dive in, get a Marine, get an SCV, get whatever he wants. And he said 10, 16, 19 Mutas, 25 Mutas are going to be on the map pretty quickly, which, okay, Widow Mine. Actually, I didn't see that either, so it's going to get a Muta. It's going to force things back for the moment. But I love what Serral's doing here as well. It's a small thing, but it's so easy to make this mistake where, ooh, medevac. No, he's going to get some tanks instead. Nice bounty there on the counterattack. But anyway, it's so easy to just, as a Zerg player, add your Mutas to your hotkey. And then you're aggressive with your Muta flock. You're flying around, and then the Mutas, as they dive in, they get caught by a bunch of Marines, and you lose your reinforcing Mutas. But no, Serral's like, yeah, that's fine. I'm just going to rally them. I'm going to hotkey them later on. And also, I'm not going to give the Terran the scout. He doesn't know what's happening. He thinks this is 10 Mutas. A defensive number. It's 25 with +1. This Muta flock this is base killing right now. This is a small army killing. This is certainly missile turrets just dead in one volley, or just about. The Clem's going to need to build a bunch more missile turrets. And unfortunately for Serral, he's not going to find quite what he wanted. He wanted to, on first reveal of those Mutas, get a ton of damage. But instead, he still got a powerful Muta flock, and he still has this really strong fighting force, adding in a hive, or not a hive, infestation pit very quickly as Widow Mines are hidden off here. Some Mutas will die. We're looking at, well, it's 24 now instead of 25, but ooh, Drilling Claws. No, Marines are there. And it seems like Serral's gonna get forced out. Any more traps? I don't see any, but the Marine shadowing here is beautiful. And the Widow Mine, well, there's no Overseer. So Mutas are kind of trapped a little bit. They're gonna try to fly overhead where the Marines are not. They're gonna get out. Beautiful moves coming out of Serral. Yeah, he loses a Muta or 2. That's only 2 Mutas for really nice corralling coming out of Serral. Or out of Clem. Really good job of keeping Serral back home. But Clem is approaching maxed out. He's got 2-2. He's got his 2-2 very close to completion. And with the hive on the way, well, from Serral and eventual late game tech, Clem's doing a good job of keeping himself safe. He really hasn't taken all that much damage. It's been 12 SCVs, which against 25 Mutas, is not a ton. Although, of course, realistically, when we talk about how many mutas you're going to get, what's happening there, it's about more than just killing SCVs or killing missile turrets or whatever. It's about keeping the Terran home. It's about making it very hard. Hey, Hassan, thank you so much for the 12 months in a row. Prime Gaming sub. That's awesome. I really appreciate that. Is now Roaches, they're going to soak a Widowmine on the bottom side here, but who cares? They're Roaches. They're not really... Serral would rather do away with them, honestly. These were safety Roaches from early on. We're going to have to see what happens is now. I mean, Bio's on the map, and it feels like Serral could swallow this, but he is down 2 upgrades. And 2-2 versus 1-1, 3-3 versus 2-2. These are terrifying timings that no Zerg wants to fight into. So instead, Serral, he's starting to take the map here. He's got the entire north side. He's on 5 bases. He's got the gold base on the way. Ultra Cavern now getting started. And, you know, I've seen complaints. I think it was about the finals, maybe. About how, Widowmine, Serral, he sees the Tracer. About how, well, Ultras are broken right now. There's no way you can, nothing does any damage to them, which, by the way, could not be further from the truth. But Serral is broken. And Serral, whatever he's going to play with, he's going to make it look broken. I think that's the key thing there is now Muta's playing on the edge. This time they got Overseer, so they can snipe Widowmines down a little bit easier, even with Drilling Claws. The Roaches will fall, of course, but Serral's okay with that. Again, he doesn't care about the Roaches nearly as much as the Banelings trying to find their way crashing in. It's a little bit of a slow split coming on out of Clem, and the Banelings continue to run forward. Planetary is not done yet. Mutas dive on top of this Thor, and they don't even need a magic box. It's just immediately dead. 9 SCVs go down. Lots of Clem's army falls, and these are the types of traits you're looking for if you're Serral. This is what you want to find. Knocking down parts of Clem's army, backing up, denying mining. Serral's going to be okay. That his opponent doesn't have them. It has 4 bases. It's not optimal, but you're going to be okay with it. What you really want is you don't want the Terran to get to 5 bases. That extends the game quite a while. It lets the Terran get to Ghost Mech, I guess, maybe is what you want to call it. That late game Ghost tank. I'm actually not sure where the hell Hellbats factor into late game composition anymore, actually, because they were nerfed. Blue Flame Hellbats no longer one-shot Lings the way they did. So I'm honestly not sure how that factors into things anymore, but certainly that late game Ghost Thor tank type of composition is really strong. And it's not something that you want the Terran to get into. I mean, I guess it's Serral and he's okay with late game, but it's not something that you want to really let happen lightly. So again, Clem's going to sally forth a little bit, but Ultra's on the left side as well. Granted, Serral wants to wait until right now. Kindness plating's done. Serral doesn't have his 3-3, and Serral, well, he's got all the upgrades he could possibly want. Coming in from the backside, the Widowmines do an incredible job here, and they make sure that the Wanelings on the backside don't get a ton of damage, but still the hot pickup makes it hard, so hard to take this fight. And now onto the Planetary again, but Ghosts are going to drop their snipes. Ultras will fall, and it's a solid fight for Serral, or a solid setup of a fight for Serral, but it's not more than that. And Serral is going to have to back up. He's going to have to retool once again. More mutas on the way. Upgrades are going to be done soon, but the thing I love more than anything else, there's 6 Dropper Lords on the north side of the map here. 5 Dropper Lords, excuse me. We got to make sure we count properly, but he's got a ton of Dropper Lords on the north side, and for now he doesn't seem to be doing anything about it. They're just there. But if he, say, puts some Ultras in some Dropper Lords, Lings, Cracklings, whatever it is, if he decides to go and find whatever he wants to go for, I mean, that's going to be pretty fun. But instead, this is the Serral Classic. Random burrowed in. My mic ran away. Random bird infestors all over the place, dropping the fungal on half the army here, but Serral's a little slow onto the engage, and the infestor is dead. So the fungals, again, they look good, but they're not going to get everything, as now the Banelings are looking to crash into this Planetary, and it should, yeah, there we go. There were enough Banelings. Planetary goes down. SCVs as well, but again, it's not the cheapest trade from Serral. He is starting to trade a little bit worse, but the other way to pay attention to that in this game is that Serral is down 1,500 resources in a 15-minute game. 100 resources a minute in Mutiling Bane. Now, those of you that are fans of Starcraft, I don't need to tell you that that is a ridiculous strat. Mutiling Bane Ultra does not trade that effectively in the slightest. It doesn't happen. As now, oh, Serral sniped the medevac. Oh no, he doesn't get it. Instead gets a Liberator down. The glaive is balanced. They don't get the medevac, and well, Clem lives to fight another day there, and well, Widowmines, they don't seem to get their trades. Finally though, they're starting to get into a position where Serral is properly, or excuse me, Clem is properly into the late game. Liberator range done. Ghost on the way. 3 Liberators at a time. Adding Ghost Cloaking. All the building upgrades. But Serral's going to have a fight before all of those upgrades complete. So Baneling's onto this. It's not even a planetary anymore. It's an orbital. Getting on top of the SCVs, Marauders as well. Liberators are going to look to the siege, but it's only Lings and Banes right now. And the Liberators, their job is to deal with the tanky units, the beefy units. So the Lings and Banes, they don't care. They run right back to the 4th base. 16 SCVs go down. Liberators, they get lifted. But Serral, it does start to feel like these mutas, they are going to have to go. And they're going to have to find, oh, well, magic boxing on top of the Liberators. Widowmine's dragged on top as well. And this is a bit dicey. Liberators with +1, certainly. I'm sorry, I thought they had +1. They don't. Liberators in this number one-shot mutas. Regardless of the upgrade timing, at 7 without upgrades, it goes down a little bit. But the mutas are going to try to magic box. They're all just going to go down. They're going to try to trade as well as they can, but this Liberator count is just, it shreds them. It annihilates them. So Serral's transitioning onto the later stage. He's got a bunch of Corruptors on the way. He's moving on to that, unlocking Broodlords, certainly, but more importantly, building an army that he can just move on to the Liberators and cause some issues there. Now, I'm surprised, as we talk about Serral fleshing out his late game and adding in Infestors as these spellcasters, I'm surprised to not see Vipers on top of the, I mean, because realistically, Vipers on top of the Liberator flocks, as he narrowly avoids a scan right there. Vipers on top of the Liberator flocks, on top of the medevacs, on top of everything. It's really nice. The Fungal's going to land on part of the army here. Banelings are going to get targeted down a little bit. And it's going to be a dead orbital as the army tries to find its way in once again, but the Ultras will fall here. And Serral, he's gonna maintain his supply lead because, again, his economy is that good. We are starting to see the struggle of late game. We're starting to see this issue where the Terran now has bought themselves a position where they're on 5 bases. And they're on 3/3, +2 armor, adding in all these Liberators. And the resources lost count, it's crazy. I see these fights and I'm like, yeah, this seems pretty solid for Clem. And then it's still only 1,500 resources. It's still only 1,000 resources in the good for Clem in this game that is 18 minutes now. And Serral's taken the map. This should not be possible. This is so insane. Serral's doing such an incredible job with this Infestor play. Sharking around, dodging scans, and every single time that Clem wants to take a fight, we're going to see a Fungal go down. This time it's not quite as strong, but maybe from the backside. This time, by the way, the Infestor stays alive. And then Infestor from the backside, looking around, peeking around for the army. It pops out a little bit too early, but the Fungal's still kind of there. And now the Banelings again onto the planetary. Serral takes game 1. Clem falls. A masterclass of ZVT in game 1. Clem played well, and Serral made it look, honestly, really easy. In the upper left now, in the blue, down a game, trying to hold on, but his opponent just relentless, inevitable. It's Clem. And of course, in the bottom right, in the red, 15-15 again, up 1. It's Serral. Where do we go in this game too? It was actually a pretty cool build out of Serral. Well, he opens 15-15, which, as we've seen out of Serral, can go any number of ways. But he opens 15-15. Okay, fine. Opens Roaches. Makes sense. Defensively against a lot of early game shenanigans, that's very safe. And that's fine. That's great. That works. And then what does he do? Drops additional gashes, drops a Spire, drops a Baneling Nest, plays Mutiling Bane. Okay. That's not something that we see. It made a lot of sense on Rat Huset. It really did with how much dead airspace there is on that map. It just made, I mean, it worked out, right? It did. It's what you would expect. But, well, we're going to see a bit of a different game coming on in this game number 3. I think game number 2, excuse me. I think we're going to see just a bit of a different game because realistically, this isn't quite as good of a Muta map. Not as much. It's a bit shorter of a map. It's gonna be Clem's map pick for what it's worth. Radhuset was Serral's. So from all those perspectives, it makes sense that whatever we saw from Serral in game 1, I don't think we see it rehashed. But of course, I mean, Hard Lead is also a pretty cool map. You got this forward base that we saw Estrella take from Trigger in my favorite PvP series of the year. Just wild games. Absolutely wild games. As the Reaper's going to try to deny the third base, but this Reaper, it's going to try to deny, but the Queen's already out in time. So Clem had to be very careful. I thought Clem might have lost the Reaper, committing too hard to make sure that he gets everything down, but it's going to be fine. So for now, Reaper doesn't deny the third base. Actually, it hasn't denied anything, I don't think. Yeah, no, it hasn't got a creep tumor either. So Serral's creep's going where it needs to be. His third base down. Decent timing. A little delayed, but not too bad. And behind this, Hellion's on the way. Third base on the way. A much greedier build coming out of Clem in this game number 2. Game 1, if you remember, it was Hellion Liberator into a third. It was 1-1-1 into a third base. But this time, well, third base before the starport. So much more economically focused, much greedier, much more focused on the mid game. And this is the Clem we're used to seeing, right? This is the Clem, and this is going to be Hellion Banshee as well, it looks like. This is the Clem that we're used to that's won the E5L. That has won so many of these regionals just by playing standard ZVT, by going Hellion Banshee into a third base, into an 8 racks maybe, or a fourth base, whatever it is. Just playing very standard Terran play and winning because he does it better than, honestly, just about anyone else in the world. You look at a Ligulac, and it's going to say Clem's the best Terran in the world. And honestly, with Maru slumping a little bit, I don't hate it. Maybe there's an argument to be made for Cure, but Cure didn't make top 4 of the GSL, so. I'm actually so excited about Atlanta, though. We talk about things as now Serral run by into the natural, which, he's going to get into the main base too here. So it's a massive scout. He's going to see everything that's happening, and it's economic damage, and it's army damage too. He's killing off some of these Hellions. This is beautiful out of Serral. 2 workers go down. It's a weird timing. Generally, you don't see this number of lings on the map. Generally, you don't see a run by like this. But Serral sneaks it in. He pumps the lings. He judges it worth doing. And honestly, he kills a Hellion. He kills a couple SCVs. It's a full scout. He pulls workers off the line. And now he knows what he's dealing with as well. So the Queens are going to be perfectly positioned to deal with this. It's just beautiful. 10 out of 10. No notes. Hellion's not thinking about diving into the natural here, but the lings are set up in time, and so many of these Hellions are low that it's not really worth doing. But anyway, talking about who might the best Terran player in the world might be, who the best player in the world might be. I am so excited for Atlanta because, yeah, we have Clem, we have Serral, and we have Raynor, and we have Cure coming, and I assume we have Cure coming. I assume Team Liquid's going to send him, and everything else. But the thing that has me most excited is we, of course, are waiting for the lair, waiting for the spores here. The thing that has me most excited is, wait a minute here. Serral's losing a lot of these Queens. Hellions dive on top of the mineral line as well. The detection just wasn't ready. I guess Serral thought with how delayed this was that this was a cloakless Banshee. Instead, 6 workers go down. Queens go down here. More workers go down. All of a sudden, it's not a good position for Clem. Or, excuse me, not a good position for Serral in the slightest. It's great for Clem. But anyway, I am so excited about Atlanta because on top of these top names, these Serrals and these Raynors and these Clems and everything else, well, there's this player called Firefly. And I don't know if you all know anything about him, but Firefly is rapidly becoming my favorite Protoss player. His read of the game, his understanding about what he has to do at any given time is so good. I mean, hell. He forced Max Pack to build a high ground gateway in game 5 of his series on Monday night. Like, the kid is so good. And I think he's gonna be the next big thing. I think, unironically, I think that he has so much promise. And I think he's gonna turn a lot of heads at Atlanta. And I'm really hoping he's going to be able to attend. Serral still no detection here. Drones continue to fall. Queens take heavy damage. The Banshee's just playing on the edge of vision, or edge of anything range, edge of range of the Spore. So they both get very low, but 4 more workers go down. A Queen almost falls. And it's 28 lings, 11 drones, 2 Queens done here. And I praise the damage that Serral got early in this game. It is not, it pales in comparison. Absolutely pales in comparison to what Clem's found. But yeah, no, okay. I know this is a ZVT and we're talking about Serral and Clem, but let me get on my soapbox a little bit. Let me talk about a man by the name of Firefly. Holy crap, guys. Holy crap. This kid. I thought Trigger was the savant. I thought Trigger was just this. It's so surprisingly good. The game's coming in slow motion to Firefly. Unironically, I think he hits playoffs. I think he hits playoffs Atlanta. I think he maybe makes a run. He's that good. But anyway, Serral now getting ready for a surround here. Bailing speed's down. 1-1s aren't done yet, so he's going to be down upgrades. But bailing speed is so important here. It allows you to make connections, even without that mini combat shield that they have. And Serral, 22 more lings on the way, waiting for everything to happen here. So he now floods in from either side. Bailing's not leading. Tanks, though, are just going to target them down. And Clem casually. He's going to lose the tanks in this fight, but he gets so much value. He's very okay with this fight. And now 1-1's done. Of course, Serral's able to clean up a little bit of the army. A little bit. Serral's able to go and find some value there. But in general, Clem's relentless pushing at this point. This is such a better position that he's gotten in game 1. He's able to actually exert his will on the map. Whereas in game 1, it was just like, Serral rebuffs the initial attack, gets mutas, and Clem never is allowed to move out on the map for the next 20 minutes. He tries, doesn't happen. And part of that is Raduset, part of that is just Serral is really, really good. So this drop, though, the medevac's very, very low. You have to be very careful on this one, but Bio stims onto this 3rd base, or I guess the 4th base as well, and more workers will fall, more lings will go down. It's 2-2 on the way for Serral, and it's honestly, his 1-1 was behind the Terran. Absolutely. But his 2-2 is actually pretty well timed. It's not going to be that far behind. We're going to see a Hive get started soon. Serral, his economy, honestly, for what he's playing, is not great. He's only on 74 drones. Which, when you're playing pure Ling Bane as Serral is, that's not incredible. You really want more than that, as now Widow Mines are going to burrow up. They don't have Drilling Claws, though, so one of them gets targeted down. Second one doesn't get a ton. It gets like 1 drone, gets an Overlord, and the medevac will fall. So this pressure doesn't really happen. Meanwhile, Ling's going to run forward here, getting on top of the Widow Mine, trying to drag it on top, but instead, Serral has a good split, but Clem is going to be forced to pick up. Meanwhile, Baneling's drops coming on in onto the 3rd base to Clem. 9 workers go down, and that should be it for the most part. 12 in total. So economic damage getting done. Oh, that's so cool. FC Pam Pam, was that the video, was that the Neuro interview I did about a year ago at this point? And by the way, for those of you that are watching this live, this is the upper bracket finals, not the grand finals. And thank you, Mr. Jamebu, for the stuff. I really appreciate it. Thank you so much. But yes, this is the upper bracket finals, not the grand finals. This is the match that everyone said might have been the series of the year. I haven't seen it. I wasn't able to watch it live as Banelings. They're looking for some connections, but they're not really going to find much of it. Not just yet. And again, Clem continues to posture right now. He's trading so much better than game 1. Game 1 was this game where every time we look at resources lost, it was 1,000 in favor of Clem. Not much of anything. And this time, doubling the resources lost coming out of Clem. And now Serral, he's got this drop in the main base. The Dropper Lord forced away, but the Lings have burrowed on up, and Clem distracted a little bit. Will lose some of the Widow Mine series. Now forced off creep a little bit more, kiting away. But he's up an upgrade. He's up an upgrade on things. And now on the left side, Serral's going to force this back as well. So we found the late game. Serral, it's not nearly as comfortable of a position as he found in game number 1. As the Lings unburrow a little bit, more workers go down. And there's no Adrenal just yet, so it's going to be 5 dead SCVs. It's not the biggest thing ever, but it's still pretty significant. And by the way, if we're talking about Stormgate stuff for a second, I can tell you that I have some plans in the not too distant future that we can't talk about just yet. But there are some things that are going to be happening sooner rather than later that are going to be very exciting on that front. But for now, we're talking about Starcraft and talking about this big pressure coming out of Clem on the front lines, on this outside, this 5th base coming out of Serral. And the pre-splits out of Clem are just beautiful as Bio steps backwards a little bit. Medivacs will start to fall here on the friendly fire from the Widow Mines, no less. But now Clem puts himself back once again. Banshee's finding value, Widow Mines finding value, and Serral just really struggling to force his opponent back from his own doorstep. Queen's now starting to go down here. Clem thinks he can maybe crunch through right now, but Parasitic Bomb, that's not going to find anything at all. Ling run by on the other side, though, and that's going to be Clem's attempt. Serral's attempt to force Clem back onto his side of the map. Distraction elsewhere. But the Widow Mines are so good. And again, the Baneleys, they're just not making their connections at all. Now Serral finally forces Clem back just a little bit. And it's going to be a hot pickup. It's going to be a runaway. But, the Planetary's ready. And there's a perfect place. A perfect place for Clem to fight backwards to. For Clem to have this pushing position off of. And again, Serral's going to have to find some gumption, some power within his ability to fight back into this game now. He's got as much minerals as you want, but he's got no gas. And a late game Zerg cannot fight without gas. You need gas for Liberators, for Bane, or not for Liberators, for Vipers, for Infestors, for Banelings, other things like that. And now this pre-split coming out of Clem. The creep denial is beautiful. The Ling run by is a thing absolutely here. But now the Ghosts are going to be on the front lines because realistically 6 Banes kill a Ghost. Actually, it might be 7 now. I'm not sure. With a Baneling nerf. It may have changed. I don't remember what the breakpoints was. I just remember it was 6. But anyway, that's a beautiful fungal. Actually, wait a minute here, Serral. There's nothing to follow up. Clem's going to have to pick up eventually, but there's no splash damage to follow. I guess it's effectively plus 6 Lings. Not as bad as I thought it was, as now this Infestor gets tagged a little bit. Clem's 3-3 is not done yet. In fact, it's very far behind, and the Baneling's now going to try to join the fray. Serral, all of a sudden, I wasn't paying attention to it, but the upgrades that he's got, 3-3 versus 2-2, and Infestors on top, is actually such a big deal right now. Clem's aggression, he's up 30, 40 army supply, 50 army supply on Serral. But his army is just a little bit weaker right now. He doesn't kill as fast. He dies a little bit faster. And that does make this aggression coming out of Serral, or coming out of Clem, a little bit harder. As the Infestor is shirking around. It didn't find much in that Parasitic Bomb. That might get a ton of medevacs, but Clem again splits very nicely here. And the entire game, the game is leveraged. The fulcrum of this game is on this right side base. Clem breaks this. He does so much more. Serral's able to hold on, though. Then he's able to sweep across the map, maybe get the high ground base, but it's so hard. Friendly fire looks for on the Widow Mines, not found. Clem does such a good job of targeting things down, as now Ling's coming and filtering it a little bit, not little bit. Widow Mine drop on the other side doesn't find value because honestly, there's no economy there to kill. And now Infestors move forward. It's not going to get much. But now, honestly, medevacs going down quite a bit as well. So for the brief moment here, it's 3-3. Ultras have upgrades, so 3-5 Ultras with Vipers on top of things. Infestor looking for the fungal as well. EMP lands, but so too does the fungal. And now Serral, it seems like his army, the friendly fire of the Widow Mines as well. It seems like finally Serral has what it takes to break out. Seems like Serral finally has what it takes to force his opponent back for the moment. And the army supply is starting to get a little bit nicer. It's 79 to 93 as again fungals will land. Not perfect, and Serral's still in a rough spot, still down 9,000 6,000 resources. But finally, he's able to take a fight on the other side of the map. Finally, he's able to force Clem off creep and maybe put the hammer and tongs to this Planetary, but the SCV repaired this absolutely slim choke. Like Clem is set up for himself. Even though he's able to force Clem off the creep for the moment, it's still really hard. It's still tremendously hard. Man, all the dry air from the snow got me thirsty. That and the good looks, the good plays coming out of these two players. But anyway, Clem now 3-3 done. Adding in drilling claws, adding in more ghosts here. Widowmine split against again at the last second. And Clem's starting to realize that it's going to be a little bit harder than he might have thought to break this position. Now, the thing we have to worry about, though, is look at the money that Serral's got. His 3 bases. Oh, the fungal doesn't really land, but parasitic bomb, fungal combination maybe on the medevacs. It's a little slow, though. We're going to have to see what happens, and we're going to see some of these medevacs fall. But again, the problem right now is Serral's economy is dwindling. He has bases. There are just bases that he can't take. Clem has honestly walled him out from it, and there's not like there are a ton of bases on this map anyway. So Serral desperately, he needs this base. Ultras are going to try to run forward, but the splits and the target fire is really nice. Ghosts, if the Ultras ever decide to stay on top, well, they're going to snipe them down as well. As now Ling's on the left side here trying to deny this last base out of Clem, but Serral loses the base. And that's the big deal. If we look at the economy right now, it's okay as the fungal actually from the backside here. There's an opportunity for Serral to do the best thing, to really extend this game a little bit more. Drop a fungal from the backside, diving in right now. Serral looks for the fungal. It's beautiful. It's the best fungal we've seen all night, and now everything's dead. I wish this was not free play so I could hit Shift B and see how much just died there. But holy crap. The entire army of Clem is dead, and now Serral marauding forward. Breaks the base right down. Liberators, well, they're going to siege up in the sky. This Ultra will fall. But all of a sudden, Clem lost so much. And that 9,000 gap has turned into a 5,000 gap. All of a sudden, Serral lost a base, certainly, but he's got the left side. He's got the forward base. He's going to lose this base again. He's not going to be allowed to keep it. But, I mean, maybe, actually? He's got a plunge. He's got a bunch of cracklings on this very marauder-heavy army. All of a sudden, he snatched this game right back into a reasonable zone. 5,000 resources lost in a game like this is not all that big of a deal. And again, the economy of Clem, it's hindered a little bit. And now if Serral can find a go and break one more base to shut down the economy of Clem one more time, he's going to be roundly back into this. But the big thing is Clem had that big bank. He had that significant income lead and bank lead, realistically, that Serral didn't have. And now all of a sudden that bank is gone. Clem, no gas, couple hundred minerals. Lings have to split against the Serral's too good. The splits are fantastic. And now he's going to find a bunch of STVs on the north side. And I love what he does. I love this. Couple Lings. Now they're going to try to find some value. The rest of them are going to burr up in 3 distinct clumps. So the scan theoretically doesn't catch all of them. And it doesn't. A second scan's going to have to get forced here. Maybe. Clem, he's got Marauders on this side. Meanwhile, on the middle of the map here, Serral has swung this game. It's still, the supply is still not incredible. Still, the army supply from Clem is better. But Serral has found this ability now. He's breaking bases open. He's denying economy. Clem's getting his army caught out in the middle of the map, all over the place. Resources lost. It's a 3,000 gap now. And in the middle of the map, more of Clem's army is going to go down. All of a sudden, this game is very even. Clem, he doesn't have gas either. He cannot afford the Ghosts, the Liberators, the Marauders. That's an expensive thing that he's trying to make here. Serral's got gas. He's just lacking in minerals a little bit. That's a lot easier to find. This run by is getting more value. In the middle of the map, parasitic bombs are getting more. Serral, all of a sudden, has done what I honestly thought was the impossible. This didn't feel like a possible game to win. And now Serral is breaking it wide on open here. He's making the miracle fights. Parasitic bombs are getting so much here. And the game's not over. Far from it. Certainly not. But Clem's economy is not as good as it once was. The Lings are again getting more SCVs. And one big fungal. If he can find another infestor, another fungal, and it doesn't... Okay, we got one... Where's this infestor? On the right side, Serral's going to have to deputize it right on over. If he can find value with this infestor, if he can get the big fungal, this game ends. If he can't, it's still looking incredibly good coming out of Serral. But for now, though, Lings and Mains are going to find their way in once again. Parasitic bombs looking for clumps. They're not going to find it right now, but again, Clem forced back here. Liberators in the front lines will go down, and there's that infestor. It's got 2 fungals in the tank. It's looking for just any fungal it finds is a valuable fungal. If the army clumps together again, that might honestly be enough to do it. But meanwhile, Clem, he's found where Serral isn't. He's found this army in the bottom left side. He's found the undefended base just a little bit, finding some value. Widowmines, oh, good EMPs right there. And oh man, we're gonna have to see some transfuses on those Vipers to keep them alive, because they're good And Serral's got a gas bank, but his economy is not doing well enough where he really feels like he can afford to replace a bunch of Vipers. Now, this Infestor, it's just dead. That's unfortunate. So Infestor will go down on the right side. Clem having to go back to a counterattacking army, though. It doesn't feel anymore that he can break the front lines. But he is getting tremendous value with this multi-prong. Once again, Serral's built an army that is very good. That is, quite honestly, tremendously good against the bulk of Clem's army. When it all comes together, Serral can take big surrounds, take big fights. Spellcasters, Fungal on the back lines are all fantastic. But as the snipes go down and Vipers fall, but when it's this we start to see this multi-prong a little bit more, it's a little bit harder for Serral to do what he wants to do. So Serral is gonna lose 2 bases and actually will lose this game. What a game 2. The bottom left in the blue, he is somehow tied up. I really thought he'd lost his grip on game 2. It's Clem. In the upper right, in the red, for Basilisk Gaming, Serral. And I love, by the way, that we're sitting here. It's Alkaini, it's Alcyone, it's Alkyone, it's Alky1 if you're Roddy. It's all over the place. Like, I love the controversy that we're seeing on the new maps. Not because they're bad, because that would be a controversy, but instead because they're weird. Because the names are weird is the key thing. But by the way, as we're getting into game 3 of what is hopefully a 5-game series, my mic arm doesn't support itself anymore. Like, I have cranked this thing as hard as I can, and it's just falling down. There's just... It's very obnoxious. It's like I want there to be more friction, and there's not. Anyways, talking about things. When it's hopefully a 5-game series, if you like what I do and you want to see more of it, you want to see more best of 3s, best of 5s, more Serral versus Clem, because this is not the only Serral versus Clem that I'll be covering in the next couple weeks. Serral versus, or Clem versus Raynor, Maru versus Serral, Stormgate news, all these things. Hit the sub button on the YouTube channel. It really does. Then you won't miss it. Hit the notification bell as well. And also, I go live when I have time, and I go live on Twitch and YouTube. So summon to the YouTube channel means hopefully you'll see that there, and or follow my Twitch, twitch.tv/BeoMulf, as we take a look at what's going to happen in this game number 3. Now, the big difference from the first 2 games, I don't think we saw Serral go 15-15 this game. This, I'm pretty sure, was the 16-18-17. I was paying attention to other things as the game got started, but I think this is a much more standard opener. 16-18-17, 28-32 supply third base, or 28 supply third base. And I'm not going to sneeze. Maybe. I thought I wasn't, then I did. Anyways, Clem for his part, quick third base. So we're settling now. We had a weird-ish game 1 that was 15-15. Clem went 1-1-1 into its third base. Both players going for like a slightly more aggressive option. And now we're settling solidly into the macro games. Solidly into these games that we expected. Realistically, if we get more games like we did in game 2, I'm going to find it hard in my heart. I'm going to find myself hard-pressed to complain. By the way, we talk about this. This is an important thing. As Lings got their way in a little bit. Got a scout. Saw that there's a third base on the way. Man, Aligalac thinks that this is a 3-1. No way. No way this is a 3-1. I don't see anyone winning 2 games in a row. I mean, although I guess Serral did almost go up 2-0 on Clem in that last game, as Lings are still just sharking around. And if there is one thing that Clem is good at, and there is one thing that Clem is better at more than anyone else in the world, it's his ability to go and get scouts in. Serral, excuse me. Serral's is his ability to get speedlings in, to get scouts timed well, see exactly what your opponent's going for, and then just respond appropriately. And a Baxter 94. Thank you so much for the follow. But anyway. Queens take a little bit of damage, but for the most part, it's okay. And Serral goes back for the Roach Warren again. We saw him do this in game 1. That was well, it wasn't gasless, but it was speedless. And I guess actually, no, it was kind of gasless. It was 15-15 gasless. And he got the roaches defensively, then went into Mutiling Bane. Off kind of the roach timing. This time, this was a speedling opener. He still got the roaches on the way, and Lair as well. I'm curious how he decides to go into this, because I'm not totally sure. As now, well, Liberators are going to show up just a little bit. And it's not going to get much done because, well, Queens are there. Queens are exactly where they need to be. Of course he is. It's Serral. So games last a little bit longer. And by the way, what I love about what Serral's done here, that's a nice little volley. The Hellions are now, are they trapped? Is there a way out on the other side? No, there isn't. But who's trapped with whom here? I don't know. I was gonna say, I love that Serral's opened the rocks up, or the minerals here so early, because it means he has this ability to deal with things a little bit better, to get on top of Liberators, things like that, but also go and wow. Also go and take the 4th base, take the gold. As we have roaches on the way here as well. Roach speed, this feels like it's just a 1-1 timing. And if I'm gonna be honest with you all, 1-1, I guess Rider said technically that's the 4th, and a 1-1 timing wants to punish the 3rd, not the 4th. So no, okay, no, this is gonna be, I like this more. This is gonna be just defensive roaches, quick hive, 1-1 melee upgrades once again. Just getting roach speed to be a little bit more mobile on the map is, I think, the play. It's going to be interesting to see, as now Hellions thinking about diving in once again. But there are Lings there, and roaches are defending the other side, so Clem again is going to struggle to find the value that he wants. Again, he's just not getting really too much, and because Serral's taken such a forward base, because he's taken this gold even before the more linear 4th base that Zergs normally get, it means that this creep is spread so far forward, which is going to make it a lot easier for him to defend. Now, he does have to be careful about tank pushes from the low ground to the high ground. That is always going to be scary. But by getting the creep so far early, it really does make a big difference. As, by the way, Stim is done. Okay, never mind. Combat Shields is on the way. It was a little slow. But Clem seems to have realized what's happening. So getting on top of the Queens, trying. One Queen goes down. Overlord will fall as well. And this Xel'Naga tower, more than any other Xel'Naga on any map I've ever seen, is a Terran's best friend. Absolutely a Terran player's best friend, because, well, the line of sight blockers are just horrendous, as Biles will not land. Line of sight blockers, you can hold the Xel'Naga while still hiding in line of sight. That's great for tanks. And it's just such a joke that Bio can bunch up right in there and say, ha, come at me. This is Thermopylae. We are 300. It's not going to happen. You cannot break us. So Queens are going to shut down this Liberator. Really, it's actually not even in range of the mineral line. So Liberator is just going to die. Serral. Now I know how my parents. I'm just so disappointed. That Liberator should have died. The Hellions will die, though. Not a lot of damage right there. Is this Roachling Ravager composition. Baneling's now getting morphed in. His Baneling speed's halfway done. Serral's on 5 bases. He's got his hive done, actually. He's adding in Vipers here. He's where he wants to be. He has really not taken much damage in the slightest. So we're gonna have to see how Clem decides to interact with this, because Serral, this is not the quickest ultras I've ever seen out of him, by the way. I've seen him popping ultras, upgraded ultras at I think it was like 8:15. That game against Maru on Neo Humanity and Masters Coliseum. But in general, this is incredibly fast ultras, and the ultra cavern's gonna be done again. You need upgrades for it to be really happy. The ultra cavern's gonna be done before 2-2 is done, before 2-2 from Serral is done, for that matter. These ultras, they're gonna have a significant timing on the map where Clem just honestly won't be able to handle them incredibly well. He's not gonna. Doesn't even really have a ton of marauders in this army. He's not even at that position in the game. So really, he's gonna rely on on Liberators, the Liberators that he continues to make. He's going to rely on Widow Mines for a little bit of spell damage, tanks on the high ground maybe. Eventually, he's going to have to get into Ghosts and other things, but it feels like Serral has done such a good job of leapfrogging his tech, of putting Clem in a position where, yeah, this army that Serral has made is not something that Clem can fight into for, again, quite a bit now. So this is going to give Serral just total map control, total agency on the map. Clem might go and start to multi-prong a little bit, try to drop wherever he can. Target down Banelings is always really nice. But there won't be a world where he can take a straight-on army fight, at least not for a little bit. We're going to have to see how well this works as a Viper. Oh, no. Viper leaves the army a little bit. That's a dead Viper. No energy spent. Now, parasitic bombs get dropped. Okay, but again, a Viper goes down very quickly. That's not what you want. But now Kindness Plating's on the way. 2-2 just about done here for Serral. It's done for Clem. And Serral now moving solidly into the late game. He started to realize how this nouveau Terran is playing. The post-patch Terran. It's not as ghost heavy. It's not as biomech heavy as it was. Instead, it seems like the answer is just get a ton of Liberators and get them to heavy upgrades and you're going to win the game. It's so hard. Unless the Zerg has a specific response, it's very hard for the Zerg to handle that. Yeah, I think that's fair. I think that's a pretty solid option. Oh. Here we go. I leaned back into my... See, the problem is Serral gets to run by here. I am in my office. I have my own space. It's great. The problem is that there's a, you can actually see in my background a little bit. The slope is, it's about 5 degrees sloped this way. So if I'm just sitting in my chair, it either naturally swings me this way, away, or it naturally swings me back like this. And it gets a little weird. And if I sit down in my chair improperly with any sort of momentum, I'm just into the wall immediately. So it's just a little bit awkward. But anyway, 3-3 on the way here for Serral. He's got ultra speed, adding in a Hydra Den. Huh. I mean, I'm assuming this is for lurkers, I guess. But this army that Clem is making is pretty horrible against lurkers. I guess maybe it's just more ground pounding anti-air or something. Here's Parasitic Bomb goes down once again. 6 more workers fall, and we're going to see some tanks die as well. But going to be very interesting to see what happens here. A Ghost, of course, getting added in, +1 mech armor on the way, 3-3 halfway done, Ghost invisibility, personal cloaking on the way, and Clem seems like he's going to be able to take his 5th base. I'm not totally sure whether he's going to be able to hold on to this, but he is getting himself situated. And I love the random cyclone, by the way. Like, yes, they're really strong in the early game. Yes, they've been changed quite a bit. And they're really good against lings. They're not. They don't want to be in a maxed army like this, not unless you're building 14 of them at a time and it's a pressure build. So that was a mistake. That should have been a tank. Anyways, we're gonna see a bunch of Parasitic Bombs drop here. Medivacs will continue to go down, and this is why I was talking about not being totally sure whether Clem could hold this base. The armies of Serral are going to be really, really strong. And okay, so Hydra range is just about done. We need to see Biles kill off the rest of these Liberators, and the base is still here, actually. 20 workers go down. Now Hydra speed on the way. +1 Hydra. I'm really flummoxed by this. This is a weird... It's a weird transition because the tank count's going to be pretty high. I mean, I guess it's gone down a little bit. Only 3 on the map right now. But theoretically, the tank count's going to get rough. Or it could get rough pretty quickly. I guess it's... If your opponent's transitioning into... Oh, that's nice, Fungal. If your opponent's transitioning into Widow Mines, then getting a bunch of Hydras is pretty nice. And it does have mixed damage. It can attack ground. It can attack air. But Serral does have... he does have a Spire. He could build Corruptors, which just fight the Liberators pretty nicely. And actually, they fight... Honestly, they fight the Liberators a good deal better. As Banelings get on top of this planetary. Blinding Clouds are really nice, making sure that the tanks and the planetary can't really fight. So 9 SCVs go down. Probably going to be a couple more before the end. The base goes down. Meanwhile, on the left side, the multi-prong out of Serral. There should be enough Banelings to bust this down. Even with the repair, we got to be at, what's it, 21 Banes, I think the number is? Yeah, it's dead. Okay. 23 dead SCVs, 24 dead SCVs. That's going to be the end of it. But that is 2 dead bases for Clem all of a sudden. And we look at resources lost again. This is one of those late games like we had from Serral in game number 1 where it doesn't feel possible. But Serral's only traded, playing Lingbane, only traded 1,000 resources worse than Clem has, which should never happen, by the way. That's just not how this game works. So Serral's got a bank, Clem doesn't. Serral's got the map, Clem doesn't. He doesn't have enough bases either. And the Lings are now going to get on top of the Ultra on the Lings, on top of the Bio. +3 Adrenal is a powerful, powerful drug. And meanwhile, base getting shelled away at. Lings and Banelings getting on top of Clem's army here, and it feels like he might just be dead, honestly. At this point, it's 127 supply to 190. 2,000 minerals in the bank, 3,000 gas in the bank to absolutely no bank. And yeah, I guess the planetary is going to be kept alive a little bit. There's a Liberator right there. The repair is going to be okay. But no Hydras are getting added in, actually. That's a little weird. And just because Serral committed to upgrades for both of it, like, he got ranged attack. He got Hydra range, Hydra speed. You expected him to build Hydras. But instead he's not. He's just opting into just this ground pounding army that really, I mean, it's been doing wonders for him. It really, really, really has. And now Infestor on the backside. It's not even that big of a fungal, but it's all that Serral's going to need because the army falls down. The planetary will not be allowed to survive. Even with building armor, SCVs are going to go down. Banelings on the left side should be able to bust this down with Adrenalings as well. And again, Clem's economy is just, I like that so much from Serral. He doesn't even commit all the Banelings onto the base because he knows he doesn't have to. Serral just kills him. And that, again, a tour de force coming out of Serral. Very nicely played. The bottom right in the blue, he's down a game in this series, looking to punch back. Clem. And of course, the upper left side of the map in the red. Up 2-1 in this series. His name, Serral. And it really does bear mentioning how much this could be a 2-1 lead for Clem. Or, sorry, that this could be a 3-0 for Serral. That's what I meant to say. Serral had managed to claw game 2 back. I think that is fair to say. Resources lost was within like 2,000, I think, at one point. He was breaking Clem's bases, but the problem was he didn't have a good response to the Liberator count. Eventually, it got to the point where it was just too strong, and then Clem changed strategy. He changed his tactics a little bit, and Serral didn't react fast enough, and well, things happened as they happened. Now, we do have to point out here in this game number 4 that Serral goes back to the 15-15. He goes back to the more defensive opening, which, of course, gets you queens a little bit faster. And Clem's done something very interesting. He's gone for a barracks in the wall. Right, this looks like a two rack type of opening, but it's not. Not really. It's a single racks in the wall factory as well, but it does mean the Reaper arrives a little bit faster. Now, Queens should still be out in time, I think. I think the map is long enough that the optimization there, putting your barracks on the low ground, I think the Queens get out in time. And that's obviously going to be really, really nice for Serral. Now, okay, I guess it's not quite out 100% in time, but it's good enough. All right, it pops up pretty much as the Reaper dives in, so it's timed out nearly perfectly. And by the way, when we talk about video, we talk about ZVT. I am continued to be impressed about how Blizzard made a game where timings like this exist, where you could say, yeah, I'm going to go and I'm going to cancel my gas. I'm going to take my hatch at 15, my gas 15. I'm going to cancel both. Okay, whatever. I'm going to take my hatch and my pool at 15 each. Off double gas cancel, and that means that if I do this properly, my queens will arrive will pop out of my main and my natural pretty much at the exact same time that your Reaper off of a low ground Reaper expand arrives in my natural, and I can time that out, and I can make sure that I am as optimal as possible and while still being safe. And that is just, do you ever stop and consider how wild that is? Really, how insane it is That is the type of optimization that we're looking at a game, really any game that this game we look at, that it is so flexible that players can make decisions like that and say, okay, this is exactly what I want to do. Like, for example, the fact that Serral's going for a very quick lair in this game. Oh, the Reaper. No, I thought it was going to get another shot off. Now Reaper's dead. But did Clem see the lair? I think yeah, okay, he saw the lair on the way. He sees that this is only 2 base. He saw the Roach Warren as well. So he should know that something's up, but realistically, we've seen this be Nidus play. We've seen this be aggressive, certainly. But what we've also seen is Serral turn this exact build into like an 8-minute ultra build. Very quick roaches off of lair. Use that to take his 3rd base a little bit slower, take the 3rd and 4th at the same time, and get a very quick infestation pit. I don't know if that's what we're going to see this game, as we're just going to have to pay attention to what Serral wants to do. But for now, he's just pumping roaches. He's not saving gas for a Nidus network, nothing like that. And yeah, this is just... I guess this is his answer to the pressure coming out of Clem with all the Cyclones. Now, the weird thing, though, is that we have the Roach War, we have the lair done, but there's no Roach speed on the way. So the thing that you might get a lair for isn't really finding the value, as the Cyclones just continue to kite away and again and again and again. And yeah, is it bonus damage to mechanical now, not armored units? Absolutely. Do Cyclones still shred roaches here and just make this look impossible? Absolutely. A perfectly microed Cyclone army is well, it just outranges things, and Clem is taking more than just a ton of flesh. He's taking his ton of flesh here. He is annihilating this, and I love this. I love Serral's approach right now. He's got a dropper lord. Fine, I'm gonna pick up my queens. I'm gonna drop them on top of the Cyclones to make sure that I can ward this off a little bit, which is just so cool. But he's not doing a German taxi, is he? Apparently he is. The lair was just for a dropper lord. He's going for the German taxi. We have no roach speed. It's just for overlord speed. 3 queens on top, and this is an attempt to go break down, well, a Banshee opener, I guess. Problem is, Banshees are going to have cloak. And we have no overseers. Well, I guess we do, but they're not with this army right now, so... This push is dead before it even got started. I like the idea. Serral's up a map, and this is the upper bracket, but let's be real. This is over before it even begun. Clem catches the army in the middle of the map, and there's just... the detection wasn't there. This push is unironically dead now. I don't think that it makes any... I guess the Banshee's dead. But Clem knows what's happening. He's already got 2 tanks in the map. The Banshee dealing with reinforcements. Again, there's just... dead before it even began, which is tremendously unfortunate, because I like the idea. I like the idea of getting a little bit more aggressive as things happen, but it's not going to happen here. Ellie's now diving into the 3rd base. So Serral, not only is his aggression getting literally nothing done, I guess he's denying the 3rd base, but that's nothing. That really doesn't matter. He's taking damage on the other side, and it's just going to be a matter of time before he taps out. I think I would love to make this game exciting, and it really is well played from Clem. But 16 dead drones, 17 dead drones. Serral went for a German taxi. That didn't work. He can't even afford double Evo, so he's getting asynchronous upgrades. It's 21 dead drones. It's 23. It's 25, 26. I feel like Demu right now. We're like, 10,000 resources, 6,000 resources lost, 9,000 resources lost, 10,000 resources lost. They're all dead. Yes, this is true. And I've never seen a sadder Zerg game in my life. Poor Serral. Poor Serral. He's and he can't even run away easily, because the Banshees are going to try to dog his footsteps. So 1-1's on the way, infestation pit's on the way. Serral desperately looking for whatever he can find. I guess he's going to lose another Ravager, and remember, Ravagers, they cost as much as a Muta. It's 100 each. I think Clem's just going to run across the map. This is a Roach player who is down half the army supply to the Terran. I'm just going to run across the map and kill him. That's all that's going to happen here. Maybe he waits for combat shields. Maybe waits. I don't know what he. Maybe he waits for 2-2. I doubt the 2-2, honestly. But he was going to wait for something. And then he should just go kill Serral. This is not a game where you're allowed to, where you should allow your opponent to wait and sit back and hope to come back into a game and macro out a game, because you are so far ahead in this game. Clem is so far ahead in this game that anything should be allowed to happen. As now more drones continue to fall down, the army of Clem on the other side. And, this is one of those scenarios where I wouldn't be totally surprised to see Serral see the army and tap out. He's going to try to make the fight happen, and I guess the best bios I've ever seen in my life might be able to break this down, but there are so many tanks and so much bio and so much of everything that we don't get those best bios I've ever seen. And in fact, the Zerg army doesn't even have armor upgrades, so they're just they attack a little bit harder, but they certainly don't defend even better. And Ravagers on the backside are going to try to get what they can get, but the tanks are targeting them down. Another tank will fall, but again, 84 army supply to 50. Serral is really struggling to hold on to this at all. And I mean, he's making a game out of it, but he is very dead. And we're going to game 5. In the upper right, in the blue, holding on against, honestly, a bit of a weird build coming out of Serral, but he punishes it hard. It's Clem. And the bottom left in the red, 15-15, once again. Serral. So we've had long games in multitudes. We've had short games in less multitudes. We had the one of them, and it was just Serral going for a German taxi type build and failing miserably. He was scouted out incredibly fast, and the Cyclones got a ton of damage done before anything started, and they also provided it didn't work at all. It was. I understand the idea maybe, but it was just. It's one of those things that if it's maybe Hellion Banshee, it works. But because it was Cyclone Hellion Banshee, Cyclones got far too much done. Far too much done. And then we've had 3 macro games, 2 won by Serral, 1 won by Clem. And honestly, the one that Clem won, it felt like Serral was going to win. It really, that game on hard lead very much felt like Clem was going to go, and I'm not even going to say fumble the lead away. That's not fair. Just Serral did such a good job of dropping fungals where he had to, and finding value where he had to, and defending and finally breaking out on the map, and finally taking his opponent down a notch and forcing that back. But we're here now. We're in game 5. We're on Solaris. It's a map that can turtle out fairly nicely. The 3 bases are decently the 4 bases are decently defensible. So Clem's going for 3cc once again. I mean, I don't think this should surprise too many people. This is just Clem. This is how Clem plays. It's funny, when I was a kid, I was an acolyte. I was another word for like an altar boy, but in the Episcopalian rather than like in Protestant rather than Church of England or Catholic, whatever. Although I guess Church of England is Protestant. Anyways, and one time the bishop came, and he was like the bishop visit, whatever it was, and I was volunteering that day. And I go up to him and I say, "Hey, is there like anything special we're supposed to do when the bishop comes? Different ceremony, whatever. I don't know." And he just looks at me and he says, "Philip, don't worry about it. Like you're gonna be fine," because he thought I was being nervous. I was just I don't remember being particularly nervous. I just wanted to know like if there was anything different that we had to do and kind of the rites or whatever. And he said, "Hey, don't worry about it. Whatever you do today is whatever happens when the bishop's here. Like if you make a mistake, you just tell people, yeah, that's what we do when the bishop's here. We delay whatever it is. We do whatever. It doesn't matter. And in this case, Clem forces mistakes, but that's just what you do when Clem's here. And now the Hellions are going to try to dive in, but Lings are just well baited. So 2 drones will go down, but the map control is not great. Clem loses a lot of his map control early on, and again, you do want to pair Hellions with Banshees. You do want to have that drone killing and drone killing and queen killing potential. But he is building more Hellions, so he's going to go back up to 6. I'm curious to see if he goes up to 8. Like what he would have had before losing the Hellions. Because 8 is a pretty common number. It allows you to do a lot of damage. Certainly you one-shot creep tumors and things. You one-shot drones at 3, so it's a bit of an overkill right there. But it just gives you a lot of power. Not too expensive. But it seems like he's going to be stuck at 8 total built rather than 8 active on the map. As the Banshees now. First one's out, second one on the way. Cloak about halfway done. Stim getting added in. And it seems like we're just settling down, not for a long winter's nap, because not winter. Well, we got 3 inches of snow last night, so maybe it is winter, but not a nap. Certainly not with these 2 playing. As now there's a Baneley nest on the way, so Serral playing Pureling Bane in this game number 5, and that's again a little interesting. It does feel like a lot of Zergs are saying that, you know what, Banelings are just not as good as they once were. Banelings are not nearly as solid as they once were. I'm going to go Roaches. I'm going to use that defensively, maybe use them aggressively. That's fine. That being said, this is a Banshee opener coming out of Clem as, Lings have to be so careful right now. This is a Banshee opener coming out of Clem. It is not something that Roaches do much of anything to. Is now 1 Queen's going to go down to the Banshee. Second one may fall down. 3 Hellions still remain. It's only going to be 2, though, so the damage to the drone line's not going to be all that severe. It's going to be 2 dead drones. The Banshees are going to be forced back. It's a little awkward, right? You don't want to lose a Queen. But no economic damage. Now 1-1 on the way here for Serral, adding in Baneley speed as well, dropping that 4th base off the defense. And he has successfully defended everything that Clem has thrown at him over the last minute or so. Banshees are still here, of course, and you do still have to be careful about them. But for the most part, not a lot here anymore. Not a lot of aggression available to Clem at the moment, so Serral is expanding everywhere. He's taken, well, not even expanding everywhere. He's taking his 5th base, or 4th base, excuse me, but he's getting a macro hatch as well. And the thing that I'm looking for, and I honestly almost expected to see him dropping it on top of the macro hatch, would be an infestation pit. That very quick hive that Serral has been making his own over the course of this series, realistically. But I guess this pressure coming out of Clem is going to be very powerful. He's sitting here on 5 barracks. Keep an eye on whether he goes up to 4 bases or 8 racks. Again, that's a very important question. Bailey speed's now done. 1-1, not done just yet, though. Queens, though, in the middle of the map. They are going to do more than fine. The Widowmines, they don't get that much. Serral single-handedly trying to prove to Reddit that Widowmines are not as broken as they would like to complain, as they would like to say that they are. They're still pretty strong, though. At least if you're not Serral. Anyways, Clem kites backwards a little bit. He gets a bailing, but loses. Actually, no, it doesn't even lose a Marine for it. Never mind. This time it's Hydroling Bane. This time it's prepping to Lurkers coming out of Serral's. He preps a Baneling drop on the north side as well. So this is the evolution in Serral's play that I've really enjoyed watching over the last, I don't even know how long, but certainly over the course of this series, where it seems like he's starting to realize that actually Baneling drops, things like that, it's something that should be used in more than just ZVP. It's something that absolutely should be used a little bit more. Is now, well, shots go off, and that's going to be that. I mean, those were some juicy Widowmine shots. Dropping the main base, though, is not going to find all that much. And meanwhile, Drop getting ready to move into the 3rd base here. This got so much damage done. This was one of the things that kept Serral in game 2 of this series. It didn't win the game, certainly, but it brought him almost back into it. 7 SCVs go down, and Serral backs up. He doesn't commit the extra Banelings because at this point, Clem split. He's going to be okay. He's going to force Army back. And Serral's just going to wait patiently on the edge of the map here, out of sight of the sensor tower, so we can drop in later on. And of course, remember the winner of this series, they go on to the finals, the VSL Masters winner. Loser has to drop down. They're going to have to face max packs. And then, okay, Widowmine goes off. Actually, 2 Widowmines go off. They shut down the drop. You love to see that, even though 6 more workers go down. Actually, I'm not even sure if that's worthwhile. 6 more workers go down from the Banelings and the Widowmines. Friendly Fire working together. But yeah, again, the winner of this series moves on to the finals. A +1 map advantage in the finals. Loser has to face max packs. And then, well, the loser of the winner of this series versus the winner of Raynor and Showtime. Yeah, Raynor and Showtime. So you want this. You want a spot in the upper bracket finals. You want a spot in the grand finals. But for now, Hydra's Lings on top of the planetary here. They're not going to get all that much. And the planetary does tons of damage. Not a lot of Banelings to force this army right back home. Clem wants to get on top of the Hydra's. Not going to find it, though. And he finds himself at about 150 supply. Not maxed out just yet. +1, +2 attack, just barely done. +2 armor, not even done just yet. And his economy, it's okay. 71 workers, finally finding his way back on into it. But he hasn't been able to be solidly on the map, clearing creep out for just a little bit of time. Widowmines, those are going to be pretty nice. Let's be real here. Second one, third one doesn't really find all that much. And now Friendly Fire does just about as much to Clem as it does to Serral. But he's now able to get active on the map. Finally, he's able to take a fight. And even if it's probably pretty good for Serral, he's going to have to find some time to morph some more Banelings to buy some more time. His target fire there on the Bans, on the Hydras as well here. Clem stims forward, gets all the tech, or at least the majority of the tech. Snaps it right on down, trades very effectively. But again, this is one of those games where we look at Serral and it's like, how in the world is Serral doing this? How in the world is Serral able to go and trade efficiently against a bio player? It doesn't seem possible. But Serral's getting his run bys. He's being so I think cost effective. He's being so conservative about the fights he takes. He only takes the fights that he knows he can win. So even as Clem does nice things, the Baneling landmine as well, didn't even see that. And now Serral comes crashing on in right now, trying to end the game, or at least do game-ending damage with the Widowmines, the Concave on the high ground. Absolutely not. You don't get to do that. You don't get to go up onto the high ground right now. And now the Burrow's known. Clem is aware of the fact that Baneling landmines can lurk around every corner, especially where there's no creep. So you can be damn sure he's going to be scouting ahead right now. He's going to be scanning ahead of where his army is. He wants to make sure that he doesn't take another shot like that. But resources lost is starting to grow just a little bit. It's not where it wants to be just yet, but it's starting to grow just a tiny bit. Here's now the 5th base. Yeah, that is the 5th base. 5th base goes down here for Clem, forward a little bit more. And Serral gets ready to move into lurker tech. He's got seismic spines on the way, +2 ranged attack, +2 melee attack, both getting started. +3 armor is going to be done eventually. Changelings are not going to be allowed to scout out everything. But now the question is whether Clem is going to be able to deal with this next round attack. Now, Lings, Banelings, Hydras are going to find this army on the right side, and well, that's going to get trapped in the speed zones a little bit. Clem a little slow on the retreat right there, but the rest of his army is going to be able to arrive very, very soon. Do we have a Ghost Academy? We do. Okay, so the moment that the lurkers start to hit the field, Clem will be able to build the Ghost here, will be able to counteract the supply, will be able to counterattack the army just a little bit as the Banelings run in. This is a dead base, but it's an expensive one. Finally, we're starting to see Serral take some negative trades. Now it's a 2,000 gap at last minute or so has been pretty solid for Clem, but he has lost a base. He's only on 4 bases right now. Not optimal, but he will lose a couple of these queens, will lose a decent amount of creep, and I think he should lose the bottom side base as well. So we've got +3 attack, armor on the way. He's got a decent free split here, Widowmines and Liberators and everything else, and this is the push that Clem wants. In this choked out position that's so hard for the Zerg to fight on into, with the Widowmines and the Marauders and the Bio and everything else all at the front here. The Banelings again fail to make their connections. But this is not the entirety of Clem's army. That's the important thing. That is the important thing. Now the Queen's on the high ground. They're just forcing things back a little bit. Clem's trying to wedge this way on forward. Yeah, okay, there we go. He's going to start to work on the bottom side base, but Serral on the counterattack here. 7 lurkers with +2 attack with lurker range in this base of Clem. Yeah, Clem's going to get that south side base, that 6 o'clock base, but honestly, that doesn't matter nearly as much as this orbital right now about making sure that Clem's able to mine. So his entire army has to run home. 186 supply, but no ghosts. There's nothing that snipes this down. Yeah, Banshees do it eventually. Maybe. But realistically, it looks like Clem didn't even have the energy, so he had to drop the orbital, make it start to burn so he could drop the scan. Lurkers are going to get gunned down. Does the scan last long enough? I think so. Absolutely, yeah, the scan drops at the very end, but now there's no planetary here on the bottom side. Clem is forced to tap out. I don't know that he was dead there, but he was certainly dying. And now Clem, he falls down to the lower bracket. There's a date with Max back there, and Serral, well, he's going to have to cut his teeth against Raynor in the upper bracket finals. Who, buddy? That was the series.